The latest Reform UK scandal, the suspension of 4 councillors from its flagship Kent County Council, is not an aberration. It is the predictable consequence of a party that has grown fast, attracted followers in their thousands, but has never built a coherent structure or internal discipline, much like UKIP or the Brexit Party. And Nigel Farage's populist project was always long on charisma and grievance and short on organisation. And the leaked video that triggered the crisis showed the council leader Lyndon Kemkaran telling her colleagues to effing suck it up. It's done more than expose bad language. It's revealed a culture of contempt for other people and of disarray among its ranks. I've long talked about ranking reform politicians either in Westminster or in councils who are not up to the job, and Reform's flagship council, the one Farage called his shop window, has descended into a public quarrel. And I'm not surprised. Backbench councillors complain of backbiting and being ignored. Their leader mutes dissenters and hunts for traitors among her own ranks. This is not a government in miniature. It's a pantomime of power, and they're more interested in their ranking than in their governance. The suspensions of Paul Thomas, Oliver Bradshaw, Bill Barrett, Maxine Fothergill rank us all, reduce Reform's majority on Kent County Council and send a message of panic from the party's high command. Farage promised that winning councils would show Britain how Reform could govern. Instead, Kent has become a warning. And behind the shouting lies something more serious. This is a council controlling a £2.5 billion budget responsible for social care, education and transport. Its internal chaos has already caused disruption to services. An appeals panel for school transport was cancelled this week because 2 of its members were among those suspended. Children waiting for support will now have to wait longer. This is not just poor management, it's moral negligence. People were elected to do the job. They can't do the job because they're too busy ranking and messing around the place, trying to grab their own importance. It's a self-indulgent, introspective, and utterly utterly incompetent manifestation of Reform UK. And Farage once told interviewers his greatest fear was winning and not delivering. Well, he is delivering, and he's delivering exactly what his moral character suggests: chaos. He's right to be afraid. He's right that he might be found out. Reform's councillors were elected on promises of cutting council tax, rooting out waste. They've achieved neither. Confronted with financial reality, they now face rising council tax by up to 5%. That's not reform, that's retreat. This party is a curious hybrid. It presents itself as a respectable populism, a movement of common sense wrapped in the language of patriotism and fiscal rectitude. Yet behind the polished slogans lurks an undercurrent of anger and amateurism, and much of its appeal has been carefully curated to avoid the open racism and abuse that marred its predecessors in UKIP and Brexit. But the truth as ever finds its way out. When power is tested, the mask slips, the rankers come out. Lyndon Kemkaran's words, "We are the shop window," was meant to be a rallying cry. They have become a confession. The window has cracked. The mirror cracked from side to side. Inside, the public now sees what was hidden: factionalism, vanity, and a leadership style closer to paranoia than professionalism. Labour has called this complete chaos. The Lib Dems joked it resembled an episode of The Traitors. Both are right. But the matter is not comic. Reform UK claims to be a government in waiting, yet it cannot run a meeting without muting into warfare, personal warfare, civil war. It's turned Kent County Council, the largest in the country, into a cautionary tale about the limits of populism. Farage built his movement on outrage, not on governance. Outrage wins votes. It doesn't balance budgets. It doesn't look at the detail. Outrage fills rallies. It doesn't fill potholes. What we're witnessing in Kent is not a local scandal. but a structural failure, a party without ballast, whose leaders cannot manage dissent, whose councillors cannot manage each other, whose councillors are self-obsessed in some sort of ranking hierarchy. Reform UK may still attract millions of disillusioned voters, but unless it learns how to govern with integrity, its victories will keep collapsing into farce. Who's got the bigger torch? Politics is not a pub debate. It's a craft of patience and principle. And Farage's party has neither patience nor principle. And so as 4 councillors are suspended and the flagship council descends into acrimony, we see the truth of Reform UK's project. It can capture a mood, but it cannot manage a system. It can rally a crowd, but not run a council. The problem is not the leak. The problem is the party itself. Reform wanted to prove it could govern. Instead, it has proved that populism without structure is just noise and ranking.